Here's what's on right now on Drivers Talk Radio.
If you've got a Ford GT given to you by Ford to test and you're going to make it a cover car, show the whole car.
Let me tell you about a recent Alpha water balloon thrown over the freeway at their closest competitor.
This question gave us far more pause than you at first blush might think. We respect Rick, but beyond that, it's not an easy question. On the phone with us, our continuing interview with our close friend, Ralph Holguin from RMD Garage on Velocity.
Yeah, I mean, it was wild and crazy, but it was really good for us to do something like that, and hopefully the viewers fell in love with the craziness and the ability to accomplish that and be solution-driven.
I mean, you're willing to build a car from scratch, for crying out loud, and that's the kind of stuff I really admire.
The show starts right now with your host, Rick Titus.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Rick Titus, and this is Drivers Talk Radio. Again, we're glad you're here. If you have questions, you have suggestions, comments, please, by all means, email us, text us, mail us a letter, call Spencer at home, whatever you got to do. Let us know. We appreciate that input. In fact, we're going to address one of our listener questions in this upcoming segment. We are coming to you from the Shelby American facility right here in Las Vegas, just off the Strip, just south of Mandalay Bay if you're in town. Got to tell you, the tours are free, and it's an amazing facility. You can go through the museum. That's where our studio actually sits. There's a lot of history in here, and just awesome. The gift shop really has quality stuff. It has way better stuff than, well, say the Boulder Dam is gift shop. And, of course, you get to actually go on the floor and watch them building the supercharged Shelby Mustangs and trucks and of course, the continuation Ford GTs, Cobras, and Daytona Coupes. So a lot going on here, and they don't even charge for it. They're self-guided, and then there's 2 guided tours every day. So good stuff, good stuff. Of course, joining me in studio is Jay Dalton, the producer and co-host of the program. How you been?
Fantastic. Full moon coming over. And Ricky, the only thing you missed was free parking. Free parking at Shelby.
Yeah, Shelby American has free parking, free tours. That's not a term you're going to hear a lot in Las Vegas anymore, Spencer. In fact, if you're going to go to some of these hockey games, I can't imagine what you're going to have to spend.
Oh man, I'm just going to Uber there.
Yep, you know what? Good idea. Very good idea.
Not even going to deal with that parking.
Spencer Crick, who's the co-producer and engineer of the program, does all the editing and does all our snippets and stuff, doing a great job for us.
Thank you.
Of course, now he's getting real grabby and egotistical.
Oh, man, am I?
Just wants more money. Yeah, how they get. You train them, and now they're heroes. In any event, so much going on. A lot to share with you. Jay, I guess I'm going to put a cautionary story out there. I want to be careful here. Alfa Romeo has come back to our country in recent times. They started with a little sports car, 2-seater closed coupe, neat little piece. But they're new to coming back. And, of course, they followed that immediately with a sedan, and now they've got this new crossover SUV. And all the magazine articles just gush about it. Now, I don't want to infer anything, but I noticed that Alfa seems to have an amazing advertising budget. It pales anything Chrysler is advertising elsewhere. But in any event, I just want to caution you if you're an early adopter. See, these journalists, and we've been them, get these cars for 3, 4, sometimes 5 days, of which they have to share that with the staff. Well, most of these cars have been smiled on pretty good, to be sure they're like perfect, and it's only 3, 4, or 5 days, maybe a week. How is this car going to hold up long term? Alfa's history is not great on long-term durability.
No, it's not. It's a well-earned black mark.
Right, and okay, if you want to be an early adopter, spend this kind of money and be hip and cool and first one in the neighborhood to have the cool-looking grill. And the front of the cars are all attractive because of that famous Alfa-shaped grill. Be careful. That's all I'm going to say, because 4 and 5 days ain't 4 or 5 months, and it sure as heck not 2 or 3 years. So
it's buyer beware.
Yeah, I'm going to say buyer beware. I'm not buying in as hard as all these journalists, frankly, most of whom wouldn't even know how to start the thing if they didn't have a push button. So,
Can I give you a funny side to that?
Sure.
You mentioned their advertising budget was large.
Yeah.
Because you see it on the front of magazines,
they're
newspapers,
everywhere.
And so forth. Well, let me tell you about a recent Alpha water balloon thrown over the freeway at their closest competitor. Oh, yes. This is the water balloon thrown by Alpha at the brand new Porsche Experience Center off of at Carson, off of the 405 freeway, because if you're traveling north on the 405 freeway, there's an Alpha billboard that they purchased opposite the man who says Porsche with the flag. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the big golf guy, yeah.
This guy used to be a golfing guy. And so now they, a giant man alongside the freeway, typical of roadside America.
He's probably 40 or 50 feet tall. It's big.
and he's been there for 40 or 50 years. So they put a checkered flag in his hand, put Porsche across his chest, dressed him in a driver's suit. Well, just opposite, if you are traveling northbound on the 405, you're going to see the brand new Alpha billboard. And I give them full credit of getting, let's see, where do we want to advertise our Alpha? We want to advertise it right there.
This was a golf course for years and years and years, kind of a hazmat dumping ground for a lot of stuff that Porsche bought and ultimately turned into this driving experience, which is essentially a racetrack, though it won't hold public racing events there. But it was about the only other use. The Goodyear blimp, for those you wonder about it, is actually berthed right across the freeway. Pretty wide.
It's on the billboard side, the
on
opposite
the billboard
side.
That's the Goodyear blimp over there.
And by the way, that's completely torn apart now. That is all being bulldozed and reconditioned for the new blimp that's coming.
That's right. They are getting a different style blimp. I was kind of surprised to see that because blimps are not cheap. But in any event, sometimes referred to as the San Diego Freeway. Jay called it the 405. That's what most of us know it as. But San Diego Freeway was pretty famous as well. Same freeway, just outside of Torrance Hawthorne area, right there at Carson.
Went down a few days ago. It was on a Friday. I was passing by, and let me tell you, that Porsche Experience Center was crawling with Porsches. We saw Cayennes up on the hill that they created for the four-wheel drive experience. Lots of cars out on the track. Cars everywhere on this thing. So obviously, weekdays they're getting quite a few people there.
Very definitely. Well, they didn't build it for no reason, and they already had one. So I think this is their second one. And who knows? Others may follow. Now, GM tried to do that here in Las Vegas. They built a track right on the strip.
Little different premise.
But what they found out in this city is people don't come here to drive cars. They didn't back then. Obviously, Speed Vegas has changed the tempo of that a bit.
What was that called, that event that they put on the corner down the street here? It was GM's
test drive or something like that.
Experience or something like this. Right. And
maybe
one problem
might have been the tattoo that put people off.
No, you're joking. I'm going to tell you what put people off is that you had to do this during the day. Come out in the middle of the day. Yeah. Everybody's sleeping or going to a long brunch,
or recovering.
Recovering. They don't want to come out in the middle of the day and do this. It just wasn't on their priority
But you know what?
list.
We say that, but Speed Vegas open during the day and now into the night, I believe. But those are exotic cars. I mean,
that's a different
breed of.
That's a different breed. That's 100 plus.
160
Sorry,
mile an hour, yeah.
Both of us saw big numbers on that that track. And no, this was just come out and experience GM cars, and it's kind of like that's the last thing I want to do when I'm on vacation.
Yeah. Well, the Corvette was the most requested, as you can imagine, which case you can drive it at Speed Vegas now. And a Lamborghini, and a Ferrari, and a Porsche, and an Audi.
True.
A lot of good stuff. Shelby Mustang. I mean, you can drive a lot of different stuff out there. That place is doing very, very well.
True.
So apparently the mindset has changed a little bit. Jay only likes to bring up the big speeds because he was quicker down that off that last corner and down that chute than myself. So he brings up
I was
the
in a
big
different car. To be honest, really fair.
Who knows? In any event.
Good save.
Road and Track. I got to talk. Coming from the magazine business, having been at Sports Car Graphic, Hot Rod, Kit Car, Motor Trend, having done some stuff for some other magazines, including Popular Mechanics. I don't know what's going on with the art direction of Road and Track. Last month, they did a quarter panel shot at a track of a Ford GT going forward. It basically showed you the side scoop with no identification of what the car actually was, so you certainly couldn't make it out if you didn't know exactly what a Ford GT was. If you've got a Ford GT given to you by Ford to test and you're going to make it a cover car, show the whole car. Well, they've done the same stunt again, Spencer. I'll give you this copy to look at. I guess they're going to get into the quarter and half car shots for covers.
I'll tell you, that quarter of that Civic looks busy.
Well, this is the Type R. This is
Wow.
yeah, this is a fast car, but I just don't know if I buy and see the competitor car. That's a half car too. Newsstand sales are going to crush about this. They need to be careful.
Also, it's the wrong color, isn't it, Rick?
Yeah,
I mean, you usually put much brighter cars.
Yeah, yellow, red are the two best. But I don't know. Yeah, you take what you can get. I don't think Honda had a lot of Type Rs at the time that this got tested. The article is extraordinarily flattering. It should be. We've driven it. It is quite dandy and very, very quick.
Wow.
And very civilized, too.
In the last 2 minutes before we go to commercial, let's breeze through a couple of fast stories that we're doing because there's such big stories out there. Yeah. We've got German cartels being investigated with something called the Circle of Five. Yeah. You know, they could make a movie like Game of Thrones, Circle of Five on this. VW, Audi, a division of VW, Porsche, division of VW, BMW, and Daimler, all getting together to collude to rig prices and technology and so forth. From the diesel crisis comes the Circle of Five. I'll say no more. There's so much more to say.
There is a lot more to say. We've also got a Fiat Chrysler and UAW
embezzlement scandal.
And indictments are being handled down as we speak. They think there may be as many as 8 here shortly.
I've got 10 in my notes. And by the way, one involves a Ferrari 458 Spider.
Yeah, well, I got
good call.
Yeah,
that's how to stay inconspicuous in your ill-gotten gains.
There's a lot of stupidity going on. There really is.
Again, just a few seconds to cover one more thing. Ford Explorer, police interceptors.
Yeah, it's not good.
All of a sudden, with carbon monoxide contamination, some officers getting sick.
Cracked exhaust
manifolds. Sloppy work of the police departments as well. Everybody is suddenly the first reaction, typical American reaction, it's the other guy's fault, right? Yeah. Now, we're happy to say, at least everybody stood back for a second and go, wait a minute, I don't care whose fault it is. This has to be corrected. Right. And everybody's jumping on this really fast.
Well, what's curious is it's only happening on the police vehicles, to the best of my knowledge.
Yes, I think interceptors use a different exhaust manifold.
Something's apparently up.
Something's funny.
Hey, the co-producers over there going nuts. We better go to break. For AM/FM listeners, thank you for being with us. Please join us right after this brief message. And welcome back to Driver's Talk. Rick Titus, Jay Dalton, and Spencer Crick. By the way, for those of you watching us on your computers, thank you for taking the time. And of course, AutoWorks TV is now our network carrier. And so you can watch us on their subscription network as well. Got a big event coming up in Monterey. Going to go up there for the historic events, mostly for the classic car shows. I'll be involved with the Corsa Italiana and doing some TV interviews for that. So very, very excited about that little gig and a good getaway from these 110-degree temperatures here. So listen, we said up front that we were going to address a listener question. We have proceeded to get good advice from Rick Weaver in the past. He's always asked good questions, longtime listener of our program, and we appreciate that. And he's one of our listeners who does take the time to ask different questions. Why don't you go ahead and read the nature of Rick's question there?
I want to read exactly what he asked because it was provocative and it's so easy to misinterpret if you don't read it exactly. I wondered if Rick and Jay would consider a conversation on what's sufficient performance for everyday driving. Specifically, what would they consider a suitable amount of power to weight ratio in everyday driving? In other words, he's not asking, hey, this is monster performance or anything. What's a sufficient amount? Sufficient meaning peppy?
Yeah.
Amount of power to weight ratio for everyday driving.
This question gave us far more pause than you at first blush might think. We respect Rick, but beyond that, it's not an easy question, and you could interpret it wrong, and maybe we have, because I'm always saying, particularly coming from racing, that power is your friend. You can fix more situations, and this is particularly true in the street, with power than you can with the brake pedal. So, yes, you want enough power to make sure you have the scoot to get you out of trouble or fix somebody else's mistake, get over in a lane or pull somebody out of your blind spot. But at the same time, you're not looking to drive a 4GT every day to work. So this one we wrestled with a bit, Jay.
It's a fascinating question if you really stop and pause because, for instance, one of the most interesting vehicles I own is a scooter, and that's got about a 30-to-1 horsepower weight ratio. Really fun, but it doesn't fall anywhere near what we would consider a performance vehicle at all. Really fun, quite sufficient, 8 horsepower, quite sufficient to get me around, 125 cc's. I enjoy it very much, but Rick, I'm going to let you...
It pushed me into a certain... When I talked to Jay the other day about this, because we've had several discussions over it, it pushed me into a certain class of vehicle. What I felt Rick was basically narrowing it down to is, well, when we look at these Type Rs or the WRXs, and we look at these cars, the VW R type, and the Rabbit or Golf, and to me, that's the package right now that brings you a real-world car.
Focus ST?
Yeah, Focus ST for sure, or, go even further, yes, you can drive it like a sophisticated human being and not have to lean on the power or even call up the reserves. But should you need that power or you have a situation where you could have some fun with that power, it's there. And to do that, you got to be, in my opinion, unless you're talking about Corvettes or Shelby Mustangs, you got to be in a car that's a little lighter by size, a little more agile, yet very practical to drive, gets good mileage, but is also quick.
We are sitting in a museum which is a den of snakes. I mean, there's nothing in here under 400 horsepower. Maybe that Omni GLH they used to have down in the corner.
Right.
That Shelby did at one time.
Actually, I can see it, yeah.
Sorry.
That car was quick.
That car was quick. In the past, I had a Lotus Elan. That was 14-to-1. I just looked up the numbers.
Gotcha.
I consider that, to me, growing up at 16, 17 years old, that was my benchmark. It was either faster or slower than my Lotus Elan.
Right.
Very lightweight car, 1,500 pounds, about 105 horsepower. I thought that did everything well myself. Now, in the present, the problem is that every vehicle seems to be either close to 3,000 pounds or over 35, 38. A Mustang is 38, a Corvette 35, a BMW 4 Series Coupe up to over 4,000 pounds. You can get these things. So now you need much more power to push the car full of airbags and stereos and adjustable seats and all these other
12
things.
12 cup holders and
all these other things.
Bluetooth.
So the whole balance has changed here. You're not going to find a 1,500-pound car.
I got to go to the kid. You're going to be the new car market soon. What matters to you, Spencer? What is it? Would it be fun to have a quick little car?
It's definitely on my radar, having something a little more fun. And like you said, power is your friend.
It is your friend.
But with these engines, it's going to be hard to find something that doesn't have sufficient power, I think.
Ooh.
It can be done.
In other words, who's done it wrong?
Yes.
Oh, let me give you an example of wrong.
Or not broad enough.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you an example. Rick, this is what you want to stay away from.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at the Nissan Versa. Nissan Versa comes in at 23-to-1. In other words, it's about a 2,500-pound car, 109 horsepower, with a CVT. Anything that is above 16, 18-to-1, that's going to be pretty slow, pretty anemic on the road. Now, Versa will get you from A to B. I've driven Versas hundreds of miles in rental cars and so forth around the world. But it is not very exciting. It is, well, let's just say that pass has to be well planned.
Actually, I've driven some stuff so slow that almost is some of the fun of it. How can I cheat death by plotting this out and not die?
So Rick Weaver, when you ask us what's the sufficient performance, I guess it depends on the road that you have to drive, to be honest.
Well, I mean... And, of course, we'd obviously push you towards Focus RS and obviously the new Honda Type R, the VW, and then Spencer. Actually, and they're not the only players. Hyundai's coming here with some stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking at the Civic Hatch. I think that thing is awesome.
It's a great package. The SI just got great reviews. We got to spend some time around it. It's just a neat, sophisticated, fun package to drive, and it's got the appropriate amount of scoot. Now, if you're a little more serious than the Type R, which is a little more racy, but beyond that, it hustles. Really hustles.
So what's the future of power to weight ratio? Because as you know now, as we start to be pushed here towards the electric market,
Right.
in some respects, Tesla has set the benchmark for performance right now. Spence?
Well, my immediate thought is there aren't going to be less regulations. You'll see more, and you'll probably see even more mandated equipment. So I imagine those weights are going to continue to go up.
Maybe. I think Tesla's a bit of a faker in this arena, because it is there literally, that torque has been built in, that the programming in that car has been built in to impress your friends at stoplights.
But right there, you said something that just shows a complete reconditioning of the mindset of the general public. All the way through the 50s and 60s and 70s, we pushed horsepower, horsepower, and horsepower. And we never really talked about torque as any kind of badge of courage. Torque matters. And frankly, in a lot of situations, torque's your better savior. You got a thought on that, Spence?
Well, when it comes to electric cars, it's all dependent on battery technology, is it
Right.
not?
Yep.
So it really depends on how that evolves.
Yep. And to that point, there's articles out now, Automotive News being one of them, saying that there's studies saying that 50% of the current auto suppliers could be gone if they can't figure out ways to join the group on electric cars. Because electric cars, despite everyone thinking we're going to be in autonomous cars tomorrow afternoon sometime, electric cars are what's coming and coming hard. And if you're a supplier, and bear in mind, folks, vehicle manufacturer is a misnomer. Nobody in the car business is manufacturing a whole car. They are by committee, they are by group, and they are by supplier. The more accurate term is auto assemblers, not manufacturers, in my opinion. And suppliers are going to face some real challenges, because if you're not current or getting current to where the new demands of that technology is, because there could be severe battery shortages, there could be a lot of challenges in bringing as many electrical cars. Bear in mind, the infrastructure is not there either. So it gets trickier.
I think that the dollars and cents are not there to justify electric cars on the wave that we have. I have a whole story on that, but I'm going to have to save that for next week.
Okay.
To just wrap this up about power to weight ratio, our question from our listener, Rick Weaver, who very intelligently asked us, what's the sufficient performance
Yeah, but make the next one easier, Rick.
for everyday
Jeez.
driving? Well, let's go right back to the very start. I started with a Lotus Elan. I thought that was a very, very snappy little car in the 60s. I had it in the late 60s. If you compare the numbers to a brand new BMW i3, very fun electric car from BMW, it does 0 to 60 in the same time that the Lotus Elan used to do 0 to 60 in
and over twice the weight, yeah.
7.3, twice the weight, and at least half the emissions, I will say. But it felt just as fast as my Lotus Elan from high school. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really fun. It felt light and nimble, even though it wasn't. But to me, I think that kind of outlines maybe where we're going and how we should begin thinking, at least for the next decade, of power to weight.
Yeah, it was funny. I asked Spencer, so Spencer, what cars are you looking at to maybe buy? He goes, well, I'm kind of in a quandary because I know there's even better stuff coming. And I said, well, it's always going to be like that, my friend.
Yeah.
But now more than ever,
Yeah.
honestly, if you look away for a second, it gets replaced, it gets upgraded, especially in the electric car field.
Hey, we better go to break right now. For AM/FM listeners, please rejoin us after these brief commercials. And welcome back to Driver's Talk. Rick Titus, Jay Dalton, and of course Spencer Crick. It's sort of interesting, Jay. It's different when you have an interview with someone you consider a friend, someone you've known for a long time, someone who you really respect and are very proud of. I don't know. I hope we can be as objective as we're supposed to be.
Well, let's start this off. Let's give a little background here just for a second. First, of course, a few weeks ago, we had the pleasure of excoriating a number of television shows that were reality television shows.
Automotive reality shows.
Automotive reality
and
shows.
we ripped on a lot of them fairly hard.
Reviewed a lot of them.
Yep.
But lo and behold, from our background in the communications business, comes a friend of ours who's been given a huge opportunity.
Yep.
Ricky, introduce our special guest.
This is Ralph Holguin, who we've known for a long, long time. We've been on tours with him. We've done all-nighters with him. We've had the security of a lot of his crew being our bodyguards.
True.
And we've just been so impressed at Ralph's ambition, energy, and he was always a sharp dresser, and obviously he's a sharp car designer because we love what's doing. RMD Garage just broke recently on Velocity. The production quality was amazing. Ralph's personality is perfect for television. It's where he needs to be. He may be one of the most interesting and active TV hosts going right now in the automotive.
So, without further ado, let's welcome Ralph Holguin to Drivers Talk Radio. Welcome, Ralph.
Oh, guys, thank you, man. It's truly my pleasure. You know, when I was reading who I was going to be interviewing with, it brought back a lot of memories. like Rick said, you know, everything starts from a beginning, and you know, I don't know if Rick remembers, but I remember detailing one of his cars. I think it was a Porsche. And I remember taking the wheels off.
When the wheels came off, we were doing testing right next to it, and I kept glancing over there. And I'm like, these guys are good. I mean, they waxed the inside of the wheels. This is good stuff. And that led us to one of our questions, because I've known you so long. Jay and I have known you for so long. But we didn't know what RMD stood for. And here it is, RMD Garage. But explain what the roots of the name.
Yeah, you know, I started detailing at the age of 16, and then I opened up at the age of 19. I opened up with his RMD, which stood at that time for Ralph's Mobile Detailing, and you know, I just kept it as I continued to grow in the industry. I kept it as three letters that just meant the world to us, and would obviously be a name that me and Eddie, of course you remember Eddie. Me and Eddie once said it in a truck coming back from Detroit that. Yep. We were going to name it RMD, and everybody's going to know it.
Yeah. No, I'm beaming it with pride. I'm so proud of A, how hard you've worked, but B, how far you've come. Man, that 56 or 57 Chevy that they show on the show a lot. Wow, dude. Now, I saw one of your pickup trucks, an early pickup truck at SEMA last year. But that Chevy, gosh darn it, Ralph, that thing is stunning.
Yeah, you're about to see on this episode coming this Wednesday, you're about to see a 1956 Bel Air convertible that we finally end up taking over to Barrett-Jackson and put it on the block. But you'll see one of our first builds from many years ago that even at that time was ahead of its time. And I think everyone's going to love that, as well as a 1962 Lincoln Continental that we're taking to Barrett.
Well, I got to tell you, Ralph, one of the things that pleases me very much, and one of the things that we kind of ripped on a lot of these shows, either the host is a complete and total moron, but mostly that some of these guys do these shows, they're catalog. They just mail order the bits. There's no real creativity. I mean, you're willing to build a car from scratch, for crying out loud, and that's the kind of stuff I really admire.
Yeah, you know, and I think you know it, Rick. You know, what's going to set you apart? You know, how do I infuse my DNA into what we're building? I mean, there's a lot of beautiful garages out there, and there's a lot of talented builders. We have a chance to have our stuff seen, and we're on a platform that's obviously huge. So what is it that's going to set us apart? You know, not only do we have the agency side that can build all the exhibits and do all that for SEMA, and you have it, but, you know, what is it on the garage side that's really going to be our what I call our DNA? And then essentially, don't dream it, build it. You know, our name, you know, our slogan, don't dream it, build it. It's like, this kind of falls into everything.
I totally agree. Ralph, I got to pick on you for the shoes. The reds were a little off-putting to me, but I've known you a long time, and I know that you've always been a bit daring. But the shoes, Helen Keller could see, dude. That was serious.
Yeah, you gotta have your fashion game up. I used to get harassed as a kid because I was always different, but you know it, and I know it. We're all different.
Yep.
And that's what makes it so unique. And different is good, man. It's just what is it that sets you apart? And if I always tell people, you may not remember me if I didn't do my job right, but you're definitely going to remember my shoes.
Well, a couple of things I want to get to before Jay jumps in here. Listen, having been on tour with you and your team for a number of years, and when I say on tour, folks, I'm talking like 250 days a year. So you share the same hotels, oftentimes the same rental cars, and you certainly eat in the same restaurants a lot. But one of the things you don't want to do is ever mess with any of Ralphie's people, because these guys wrestle so hard and box so hard that it came to a point, right, we all of us who were presenters said, okay, we don't want to be underneath or next to any of the RMD guys, because you'll think there's a brawl broken out, because these guys wrestle, throw each other to the floor. They take their horseplay seriously. So, but it was great to have on your side. You know what I'm saying, Jay?
Ralph, I'm happy to say that did not come through on the television show so much.
Yeah, don't want to overdo
yes,
that. Yeah,
but don't overdo that monkey business, because
that hurts it.
You undermine the image that you're projecting. But what's your feeling on that? You're the creative director.
You know what? I think that one of the things that's really important to us is we have to have fun. We're very lucky. Like I said, we have an amazing platform like Velocity. We're going to build some amazing cars that are really going to showcase our talent. And along the way, you'll see us having fun. I mean, life's too short. We need to make sure that we have those moments with each other. And of course, there's there's one where this guy, he grew up so tough. His dad told him that he would always have to be tough, and we break through to give him a man hug. He needs a man hug, and but it's just little things like that. But you're absolutely right. We want to make sure that at the end of the day, our work comes through, and
that's the star. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the star.
Yeah. Funny enough, there's a lot of personalities on these shows, but really the product ends up to be your showcase. That is the thing that you're going to be known for, like the Bronco in the first episode, or the Volkswagen bus lounge, I guess.
Conference room. I couldn't
Conference room. How were you approached on that Volkswagen to begin with, Ralph? It wasn't exactly explained how you arrived at that particular design.
Well, I think a lot of these designers that are doing all the architectural inside these buildings, always get asked kind of crazy things, and luckily at this particular one, I happened to be friends with the designer that was designing the entire 100,000 square foot space. So it was a no-brainer once they asked that they wanted to do something to really remind them of their roots of traveling, North America in the VW bus. Really talking about their journey. And so I thought, wow, this is amazing. We could totally do this, and obviously make sure that it looks absolutely beautiful, like an art piece.
It did.
It was an art piece, and of course, it reminded everybody of the culture of Southern California right there in their place of business.
The 4-story window, though, Ralph, you must have had a stroke when you got there and realized, hey, how are we getting this thing in here?
Yeah, actually, the viewer might not know, but you and I and all of us have had an extensive automotive background, and we've had to do some really crazy, wild things. But so we had that in our belt, but we still got to make sure we go through all the safety precautions, and we still got to make sure it fits. I mean, we had to take out what you don't see is we literally had the tires almost flat in order to even get it in, because we were inches.
I wondered. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, we were inches from hitting. As a matter of fact, we had a GoPro on top, and everybody forgot that there's no way that's going to fit. So at one point, we had to get up and take that GoPro down. But yeah, I mean, it was wild and crazy, but it was really good for us to do something like that, and hopefully the viewers fell in love with the craziness and the ability to accomplish that and be solution driven.
You looked a little tense, Ralph. I've known you a long time. I dare say that was about as tense as I've seen you in a long time.
Yeah, you know it, Rick. I mean, you have to be ready. You can't joke around. This is this is exactly like I said, 100 things can go right, but it only takes one to go wrong. And you're talking about lifting a car way in the air, a lot of people on the line and life on the line, and you want to make sure it goes well, not to mention you want to execute an amazing installation for the client.
We've got about a minute before we go to commercial, but a little bit about your background, Ralph. You've been doing these kinds of works of art, these automotive installations, if you will, for various corporations and for various shows for many, many years, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had that great opportunity to work with some of the greatest minds out in the automotive world, and obviously, most recently, I've been let go free to kind of create my own path, and RMD Group has really kind of given me that platform. We're working with multiple clients. I take a 1972 Bonneville Airstream and completely modify it and retrofit and put gull-wing doors for Red Bull. And I mean, talk about pushing the envelope and really doing something that's different. So I love being able to create and design.
Obviously, I've been watching you draw on the show. I didn't know you could draw like that, Ralph. So.
Ricky, I tell you, I didn't know I could draw either, and I think that you and I are creatures of environments. When we get asked something, maybe we didn't know how to do it at that moment, but man, we're sure as hell going to try.
Exactly right.
That's really what it boils down to.
Could you stick with us for a few more minutes, Ralph?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, buddy. We're going to go to commercial break for our AM/FM listeners. More with RMD Garage and Ralph Holguin, a good friend, almost family. We love this guy. We're very, very proud of him. And his new show on Velocity is already a hit. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Drivers Talk. Rick Titus, Jay Dalton, Spencer Crick, and on the phone with us, our continuing interview with our close friend, Ralph Holguin from RMD Garage on Velocity, Wednesday nights. And I got to tell you, the production quality is outstanding. I love the shop, and I love the cars. And did I have the night right? Am I right on the nights?
Yeah, this is Wednesday nights on Velocity, and it's slotted right next to Bitch and Rides. Our friend Dave Kennick.
We love Kennick
at Bitch and Rides. And Ralphie, you've got some co-promotion coming up with Bitching Rides?
That's right, man. I had a chance to meet Dave and to kind of fly over to Utah and talk about what I do, not only on the garage side, but also on the experiential side. And he was in the market to build out a brand new mobile marketing unit, and I was the right guy. And he gave me a great opportunity. So in one of the episodes coming up soon, you'll get a chance to see how we turn Dave Kindig's 53-foot semi into this beautiful mobile marketing trailer ready to engage all his fans and obviously get a chance to see all his vehicles on display. We build him an observation deck on top, and we do a complete lounge for him and transform his trailer into a merchandise store with a vending door and everything. So you'll get a chance to see that, and now that's a great experience.
Well, I love this matchup. I think those two could work together a lot.
So this is
and of course, and I'd like you to beat up Kevin too, please. We love Kevin. He's a good asset, but boy, that boy's a smart ass, ain't he?
Kev Dog's got a one line for everything, man.
Yes, he does. I mean, and I'm calling him a smart ass. That's coming from me, Ralphie. You know what I'm saying? That guy. So, yeah, kick his butt, would you? But anyway.
I bet this is not the first mobile marketing facility that you've put together, Ralph. Anybody else that you can mention?
Yeah, of course. I've had the chance to build out multiple. There's a trailer tour that goes out all year for Toyo Tires. Those are one of our clients, and we built out a complete, from chassis, literally rolling chassis, we build out a 43-foot trailer that expands and opens up into a full meeting facility, as well as engagement with charging stations, everything from photo retrieval stations, and then just create a great experience with the stage and everything. So that's one of them. And then we've also done some stuff with AT&T. And, of course, I mentioned Red Bull, which is really cool if you get a chance to see that Bonneville Airstream. It's pretty much a work of art with the gull-wing doors only on one side, which made it really awkward, and we had to do a lot of retrofitting and modifications to make sure that tin can handled as much stress.
You know, you're hearing a little bit about Ralphie's glamour side, but I've been with him in the trenches where he and his team, Jay, in near gale force winds, were assembling these massive, massive tents. I'm talking circus-size tents in pouring rain and lightning in the middle of a parking lot in Dallas. And, well, we've done it in Florida and Atlanta and all over the country. And Ralphie and that crew, they're amazing. Their stamina, their determination, and the way they worked as a team, Ralph. You know, I remember seeing rain running off your head like crazy. Everyone's soaked to the bone, all the way up to your socks in water. You didn't get here easy, Ralph. You guys have earned it.
Yeah, Rick. You know, everybody always asks me, how does it feel? And my quick answer is, I didn't win the lottery. You know, this has been a lot of hard work in the making. A lot of relationships growing, a lot of really growing up. If you remember,
Yep.
You and I were working together. I mean, I was in my 20s, and I had to grow up because I was in an industry that really doesn't see my kind of individuals there without the degrees or the college or all that stuff. So, you know, and going back to what you just said, you're right. All of our guys were there out busting butt, and it really came from our humble beginnings and our breakthrough. And you remember, I mean, I recall how awesome the camaraderie was between all of us as team members. There really wasn't anybody that was better than anybody, but we all came together and worked our tail off for a purpose, and at the end result. But then for us, it was always being grateful for that opportunity, and we continue to stay humble and grounded, and because opportunities come and go, and you got to make sure you nurture them.
Yep.
And, you got to make sure that you're always on top of that, and don't just run to the bank just because you think you got that check. You know.
You know, it was funny. It would be countless the number of times that us presenters, you know, on behalf of Ford Motor Company, were heading to those tents and all of those facilities that they set up. We'd be heading out of the lobby to get in the rent-a-car to go to that site to do our job, and here comes Ralphie and his crew coming in. I mean,
finishing the setup,
just finishing, just in the nick of time, through some outrageous conditions, from hot to cold to blizzard. Just incredible how hard.
I'd like to say one other thing. Yeah. Ralph, I think you and your crew embody the idea of seizing an opportunity, of actually maximizing an opportunity when it presents itself. There's a lot of people today, when they run across an opportunity, they kind of give it a half effort. And you've always maximized opportunities that came your way. And that's why you're on television right now. I think you've done an amazing job to seize the moments that come your way.
Yeah, you know, I always continue to really say that I'm truly blessed, and I stay humbled. And again, you're absolutely right. You know, anything that comes our way, we try to be the yes people, you know, and I remember, you know, Rick talking about the tents, you know, I got asked, can you do these tents? I said, no, I could do them better, and I could do them faster and cheaper. And it was about owning your moment, you know, and for me now, obviously, with my girls and, you know, taking this journey, I want to make sure I leave my mark, you know, it's really important. I've created all this stuff very unexpected. I was actually, you know, always told I couldn't accomplish anything. I told I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, I wouldn't be this, I wouldn't be that. I didn't use that. I didn't use that as my excuse, and again, I used it as my catalyst to push me forward and to be my driving force. And I thank all those people that put me down during all that time, because that fueled me. That fueled that fire to say I will do it, and I can do it. So yeah, any opportunity that has come our way, it's for us to seize it. And who do we want to be seen as? And what is it that we want people to know about us? And that was really important for me, even when Velocity approached me, because I was found on YouTube, and I was like, well, I already got something great going on. What is this going to do for me? And again, it was really a chance for me to give that message to anybody sitting in their living room wondering what to do or having an excuse. I mean, we got it. We can do it. And there is no excuse, you know. It's all on you.
Well, and that's the insight I'm hoping our listeners are getting from this show. When you watch this show, folks, watch this man and watch how he treats his team. He's got a great heart, people matter to him a lot. His team matters a ton to him. They are family. And watch the motivation. This is a guy that could have had nothing, and he has built himself a heck of a little empire, and he's going to continue to. And we're just very, very proud of him because he's a good guy. This isn't some schluck that everything's been handed to him. He's earned it. He's worked his way there, and he will do good things going forward. But watch him. Don't just look at the cars. Look at the team. Look how the team cares about him, and watch how he cares about his people. You're going to see a man that's got a good heart here.
You've brought up a very good point. I want to do a shout out for your body man that you have on the crew, Eddie Velasquez. That's old school. Ralphie, that guy is old school. He's very sincere. He's never been on television before, I can promise you. And, he's doing the job as best he can and the way it should be done. That's what I got from just watching the first episode.
Yeah, you're right, man. Eddie Love, as we call him, he's an ex-boxer. And, and I think it goes back to opportunity. These guys are also seeing, and I had a great talk with them prior to the show starting and everything. I said, who do you want? Who do you want to be seen? What do you want your kids to see? This is a great memory that they'll be able to keep forever. And be you. Be who you are. Don't change for anything. The camera comes on. Yeah, you're going to get nervous, but at the end of the day, what sets you apart? And I think these guys are so blessed because they're owning it.
Yep.
And Eddie Love is such a great character. You're going to see him on this episode really show how funny they can be, as well as how engaging and as designers, as the builders, and obviously the body guys, how much they care about the final product.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. One more shout out. Velocity did not give you an underwhelming production company.
No.
You've ended up with Beyond Productions. These are the guys who did Mythbusters since 2003. So if you think this is a lightweight show, you are wrong. 15 years of reality television. They have operations in Australia. They started out in Australia, in Ireland, in the UK, and in America. This is a first-rate, top-quality production company. And, Eddie, it shows.
Well, Ralphie, you mean.
Ralphie, it shows. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have the, when Ryan, our executive producer, Ryan Center, walked in through these doors, and I understood who he was and what he brought to the table. I mean, you have two creative minds here standing, and I said, we both agreed, like, what are we going to do and how are we going to set ourselves apart and create an amazing show that multiple people could view. Our goal is that families and women and everyone finds a little bit of something in this show that they love and they fell in love with. And Ryan didn't fail, he really pushed himself. He was the executive producer behind Monster Garage years ago. And I mean, that kind of set the reality automotive world into motion.
Absolutely, it sure did. What a treat. What a treat to say hi to you at the beginning of your television career. Congratulations, Ralph Holguin from RMD Garage on Velocity's Wednesday night. By the way, you can see any episodes on demand at the Velocity website.
We're proud of you, Ralph.
Oh, man, thank you, guys. It means the world to me to, it's funny. I've been wanting to be on your show for many, many years, and obviously luck would bring us together again. So
I'm excited about that. And, of course, hey, Godspeed. Again, we're very, very proud of you. We look forward to talking to you after some other episodes. And, of course, I know that you're going to wear shoes that allow me to pick on you for many, many episodes to come. So, all right, my friend, we care a great deal about you. We wish you all the luck in the world.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me, guys, and I'd love to be back one of these days.
Sounds real good to us. Well, there you have it, folks. Some insight about a program you could watch and maybe just see the pretty cars. We want you to see the people in this one because we know them, and we respect them very, very much. For that, I would say we wish you open roads and safe motoring. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for watching Drivers Talk Radio. If you're watching this on YouTube, click that subscribe button and never miss a video. Or if you'd like to check out more, click on that video to the right. If I'm talking to you on AutoWorks.tv, I'm afraid we're out of time. We'll see you on the next one.